John Herdman believed when almost no one else did. Canada was heading to the World Cup in 2022. That was the message at the first responsible camp held in Murcia, Spain. In March 2018, he told us his goal was to qualify for the World Cup in the very first game. He said that right then and there, said Toronto FC midfielder Jonathan Osorio. He had the vision long before anyone else. Nobody there was thinking about 2026. We were all focused on the next thing before us. The chance to qualify for the World Cup in Qatar. Osorio is one of 9 players in the first camp to make up his World Cup squad. Others are Milan Borjan, Derek Cornelius, Samuel Adekugbe, Atiba Hutchinson, Mark Anthony Kaye, Liam Millar, Samuel Piette and Cyle Larin. When Canada made its World Cup debut in Mexico, Herdman was 10 years old and was living in Consett, just outside of Newcastle, England. There are still moments where I pinch myself when we get to Doha, Herdman said. It will be a wonderful journey, he added. I'll be shoulder to shoulder with world-class coaches like Roberto Martinez. And that's where I want to be. He's on the edge of the razor and letting people from Consett, County Durham know that anything is possible. Anything is possible. Pictured in 2021. Herdman began coaching knowing that a professional career was unlikely. Son of a steel worker, growing up was not easy for Herdman. The son of a steel worker who had to find a job in the oil industry in Scotland when the steel mill was closed. An okay midfielder. He went on to play semi-professional football in the Northern League and for his university. However, knowing that a professional career was not possible, he entered the coaching business. He went to courses at the age of 16 and opened his own football school at the age of 23. At university in Leeds, he met a teacher, businessman named Simon Clifford, who was fascinated by Brazilian-style football and opened Brazilian football schools. This later caught the attention of Herdman, a resourceful player nicknamed the Black Flash. When he attended training for the Canadian women's team, players from Sunderland began sending their children to Herdman's football school, which led to a job offer at Sunderland Academy. Herdman spent 3 years there, working with the young Jordan Henderson, now a Liverpool and England star, using her experience at Sunderland as research. Herdman considered pursuing a PhD. Later, his advisor at the university, Dr. Paul Potrac, moved to the University of Otago in New Zealand. Potrac told Herdman about a football job as regional director in New Zealand, selling him the chance to essentially take over a blank football canvas. Herdman committed himself to coaching all ages while creating a football plan for the region. I don't remember working more than 80 hours a week, he once said. It's my personality. It's probably mental disorder when I tune into something I'm passionate about. I get a little crazy about it. She led New Zealand's under-20 team to the FIFA U20 Women's World Cup in 2006 and 2008. And led the Senior Women's World Cup in 2007 and 2011. His last appearance at the 2011 World Cup was a turning point. Watch Soccer North. What are Canada's chances in Qatar? Soccer North. Can Canada exit the group stage in Qatar? Duration 25-17. Host Andi Petrillo keeps you up to date with the most important news from Canada. Men's and women's national teams. The game saved my career. Herdman says the game saved my career. The team was on the brink of, and you knew you had to fight for their pride. You had to fight for your career. You were in for a big job to prepare them for the final game and for us to lose 2-0. Time after that World Cup, Canada offered her the job of coaching the women's national team with a home World Cup appeal that led to another worldwide move. The players are laughing about it now. But until he became our man, we thought of him as the annoying little guy on the sidelines wearing headphones, writes Canada captain Christine Sinclair in her recent memoir. Playing the long game, Herdman corrected a broken Canadian women's team after finishing last at the 2011 World Cup, leading them to back-to-back Olympic bronze medals before taking over the men's helm. Sinclair tells Herdman, "He's definitely the best coach I've ever had. He's life-changing. It helps you rediscover your passion," she said in an interview. "And it creates a culture of unity within a team where your egos are left at the door. You do it for the team and for each other. Spend 10 minutes in a room with him and you'll be ready to go through a wall for him. He's just so charismatic and so passionate about what he's talking about. You can totally see that from the way the guys played, and the men played it. I can't wait to see it on the world stage. I think he's an absolute genius when it comes to coaching people management and inspiring people," said former Canadian goalkeeper Craig Forrest. Watch Canada Soccer has announced its Qatar World Cup roster. Canada Soccer announces Qatar World Cup roster duration 2008, 1 week before the start of the World Cup. Canada has determined its 26-man roster and filled the team with major league talent and players like Alphonso Davies, who hope to make history in Qatar. Herdman's objection. Canadian football president Nick Bontis says Herdman's appeal isn't just limited to his players, noting that Herdman is in contact with Canada Soccer until 2026. Bontis said, "Some of the most high-profile club coaches in the world also love John. After every national team game or camp, Herdman provides his players, club coaches and coaches with a detailed report, ranging from how his men are performing on the pitch to potential recovery issues and things they can work on." The coaches who contacted me directly said, "May God have mercy. The reports we got from John when our players went to national team assignments are better than anything we've seen from any other national manager around the world," Bontis said proudly. Canadian women's trainer Bev Priestman also grew up in Consett, about 5 or 10 minutes from Herdman. She was 13 when she was first coached by Herdman at Brazilian soccer school. Soon she began to help him. What it was then, and it is now, intense, passionate, innovative, I would say. Does things differently. That's clearly a big part of his success," he said. Priestman would follow her to New Zealand and then Canada, before setting off on her own to coach at the English Football Association and returning to take over Herdman's Canadian women's team. Herdman's attention to detail is legendary. Priestman said, "He is the hardest working man I know. You have to spend extra hours getting all these details right." Paul Dolan, a goalkeeper on Canada's 1986 World Cup squad, and a former member of Herdman's coaching team, believes Herdman has excelled at closing the gap between his team and his opponent. Herdman connects with his players, giving them a roadmap and connecting them. "If you do that, that's all you can ask," Dolan said. "But it gives you a better chance to beat even the best opponent." Pictured right. And in 2016, Bev Priestman was part of Herdman's women's coaching team before taking over the team. "He's strategic. Herdman's X factor is a well-stocked toolbox," Priestman said. "John has a lot of talent. He can plan. He's strategic. He can zoom out and then he can get into the details. A lot of coaches are just coaches on the field. And I think he's so much more than that. He says Herdman has had a profound impact on his team, as well as his players. He dreams big and pushes you to new limits you didn't know you had, he explained. Sometimes it's really hard. But if he didn't push me during really tough times, sometimes he's like, wow. But they actually pay off. They have very high standards. Herdman's wife and 2 children will be in Qatar even though they are traveling via England for what Herdman calls his own football journey. This includes attending a Newcastle United match. It was incredible that my wife invested in the relationship and allowed me to do what I did to the level one needed to do. My kids attended every event. They lived it all. I just couldn't. Don't do it without them. And they should be there, he said with a laugh. They have no other options.